Just hang tight for another minute. I'll let you know.
No problem, thanks.
Right, everybody in the queue is in, so you can start, Jason. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thanks, guys. Thanks, everyone, and welcome to our fifth and final Coaches on the Couch series. I'm joined today by Ulster head coach Richie Murphy, Scarlets head coach Dwayne Peel, and Zebra head coach Massimo Brunello. Same as usual, guys. We haven't been on the call yet. We'll just start off with 2 questions per journalist, and then we will bring it back around then afterwards. So if you can use the raise hand function, first one up there, and we'll get going. So thanks, guys. So first one up there is Murray. Yeah, you want to jump in there, Murray? Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Hey, lads. Question for Richie, if you don't mind. Hey, Richie.
Hey, Murray. How are you?
Good, thanks. Just wondering what you liked about Aidan Morgan and how he's settling in so far.
Yeah, he's sitting outside the room, so I better talk quite nicely about him. But he's been good. He's come in. He settled in very quickly. He's obviously a big running threat, ball in hand. He's probably going to spend a bit of time getting used to sort of the balance between that and the European game and what's expected of him. But very exciting. Fitted in really well with the group straight away. Not a big man, but a very tough defender. Defends his channel very well for a man of his size. So yeah, it's going to be very exciting to see how he develops. He's only 23 years of age, so obviously a little bit of Super Rugby experience, but it's a new start for him.
And the other one I was curious about was Werner Koch, who obviously a bit more experienced, but looks like he'll be just as energetic. What's he been like in the environment?
Yeah, really buzzing around the environment. Everybody knows him got to know him very quickly. He's kind of infectious kind of personality. Unfortunately, he picked up a little bit of a strain sort of a week and a half ago and hasn't been involved in training as much as we would like, but we're hoping that he might get a run out this weekend.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Thanks, Murray. Matt Lloyd, do you want to come in there when you're ready, please?
Yeah, hi guys. A couple of questions for Dwayne, if I may. Dwayne, first of all, starting seasons hasn't been the strongest point, I guess, for the Scarlets, but in this first block, you got 4 home games. So there's a chance to make a good start there, and you got home and away games against rivals Cardiff, who you did the double over last year. So how do you look at that sort of opening block of the season?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think over the last couple of seasons, you've probably been guilty of not picking up points in that first block. So something obviously we've spoken around the importance of starting fast. And as you said, different to what it was last year. I think the fixtures obviously give us some home games, a few home games in this first block. So it's important that we start well. That's the reality of it. But I think that the boys have been good and looking forward to it. We've got a fresh sort of group, Matt, this year. So I think going off to a good start will be important for us.
Yeah, you mentioned about new guys. It's quite clear where you've recruited this summer. Some big forwards, front row, second rows, guys like Henry Thomas. How are these guys? How are they settling in? First of all, are they all? Is everyone fit and available for the start of the season? And how have they bedded in?
Yeah, they've bedded in well. I think that obviously experience with the likes of Henry coming in has been great. From a leadership perspective, definitely in that front 5. And then you got younger guys like Max Douglas who recruited. Alec Hepburn was another one to note with Henry, a bit of experience in that front row. So I think that, yeah, they've come in, they've been fitted in well and led well, to be honest. So I'm looking forward to seeing them go, and I think it'll add a bit of depth to our front 5. We've got some good young Welsh props coming through, but I just think having the experience around them is important. And depth in that front row is an area definitely, especially that front 5 that we targeted going into the back end of last season in our recruitment.
Great, thank you.
Brilliant, thanks. Michael Glennon, you want to come in there first?
Thanks very much. Just another couple for Richie. Hi, Richie. How are you?
Michael, how are you?
Not so bad. Just when you were talking about Aidan there, I guess if Billy Burns had been there, he would have been a perfect guy to kind of take the younger out halves under their wing. Are you worried about the lack of experience between Jack and Jake and James? How do you make up for that? That they don't have a kind of an elder statesman there to teach them the
Yeah,
ropes?
I suppose you're right that it's not an ideal situation, but I suppose it comes from review and hearing what they have to say and dealing with them sort of after training in relation to video analysis and stuff like that, and trying to build up their knowledge in those things. We're obviously we've two 23-year-old out halves and a 20-year-old out half. We do have someone like maybe Mike Lowry who has played there in the past, but like, you know, we're going to be a young side over the next couple of years. You know, our frontliners, we've got plenty of experienced players except for that position, but you know, in behind, we're going to be a young squad, and I suppose trying to build something around those guys is going to be interesting.
And are you taking charge of the back line this year? Are you focusing?
Yeah, myself and Dan Soper will run the attack, so we're kind of doing it between us. Yeah.
I'm just wondering about Nathan Doak, where exactly he fits in, because if you've kind of inexperienced out half, the tendency or it might be tempting to put John Cooney in there, but for his experience, and I mean, when Nathan came onto the scene 2 or 3 years ago, he looked like he could start all the games because of his maturity. Where is he? Where do you see him this year? Is it?
Yeah, definitely. He has matured a lot. I think he's over 60 caps for Ulster. He's still only 22 years of age, 23 in November, December time. So he is very young, but in relation to his experience and the way he's sort of seen and played the game, he's sort of wise beyond those years. But again, himself and John have had 2 good pre-seasons. We've actually got 3 other 9s there as well. So we've a bit of competition in that 9 slot at the moment, which is great because competition will push the standards of all those guys. But yeah, Doki we would see him, although he's 22 years of age, as sort of wise beyond those years.
Super. Thanks, Richie. All the best.
No worries. Cheers, Michael.
Thanks, Michael. Michael Sadlier, you want to go in there next?
Hi, thanks. A couple of questions for Richie, if that's okay. Richie, you've got a pretty, I mean, there are no soft landings here, but a pretty tough start. Champions at home and then 2 matches at altitude in South Africa. If you didn't know it before now, you sure got a job in your hands, yeah? Yeah,
definitely. Look, you know, we don't get to pick who we play in the league, and you know what I mean. It is what it is. You just get on with it. You know, our focus is very much around trying to prepare our team to be the best they can be for these opening games. There is some thought going into selection in relation to how we get the best out of our players, and obviously returning internationals. Most of those guys become available next week. So you know, it's about getting the balance right over the first couple of weeks. Obviously, our home game is a big one that we have to go after, and then yeah, it's not easy. We go to South Africa for 2 weeks and we play Connacht at home then the following week. So it's a difficult start, but you know, if we have a difficult start at some stage, we get a better run of fixtures. But URC, there's no easy fixtures anyway.
No, that's true. There's been a lot of emphasis on the style that you want, you know, Ulster to play with, and obviously with the youth coming through as being very much the emphasis. But how concerned are you that maybe Ulster are just not going to maybe quite be as powerful up front, that you're not going to get the platform that you would want to use?
Well, everything comes from that platform up front. You know, we feel that, you know, especially when we're full noise and full strength, we have a pack that's able to compete at the top end of the league. But you know, our ability to use the ball, our ability to sort of break up games is going to be something that we have to try and develop over the next number of weeks. And like the likes of Aidan, the likes of you know, Jude Postlewhite coming through. You know, Ben Carson has had a really good preseason and got some good minutes the other day. Our back three is obviously a big threat. So just trying to play a game that suits the players that we have in our team is going to be important. But we do feel that our we can get to a position where we can get our maul back going again.
Thanks, Richie. Good luck.
Brilliant. Thanks, guys. I'll just jump in there with a question for Massimo. We're waiting for some hands to jump up. Massimo, we've seen some real progress and real results in the Italian academy system over the last number of years, with Benetton and Zebra bringing through a lot of young players. Is there any players in particular we should keep an eye out for this year that you think might have an impact and play some games in the URC?
Alcuni ragazzi che sono in percorso accademici, qualche in particolare.
No, non ci sono nomi particolari, ci sono un gruppo di ragazzi che lavorano da 2 o 3 anni già alle Zebre e adesso ne stiamo inserendo alcuni che sono ancora under 20, che, ad esempio Milano che aveva già fatto qualcosa con l'under 20 e abbiamo...
There's no name in particular, Jason. There's a big group of guys who've come up through the system and have been together now for 2 or 3 years. So no name to stand out. It's more about the group as a whole. Through our academy, though, there are some interesting players who are coming through at the moment, like Giacomo Milano, as an example.
Brilliant. Thanks a million. Rory, do you want to come in there when you're ready?
Thanks, Jason. One more for Richie, if you don't mind, Richie. On Aidan, like, you've had your hands on all of the best young Irish talent over the last couple of seasons, and obviously he's Irish qualified. Is he in that bracket, that conversation? Do you see him as a potential future international, someone who can use Ulster as a platform to go on and play for Ireland?
Yeah, it's very early days at the moment, but like, you know what I mean? Does he compare well with other guys? He's different strengths to some of the other players that we've had up through the 20s in the last couple of years. The big thing, he's played a different game as well. Super Rugby is very different to the European game, so it's going to take a little bit of time. He's going to have good days and he's going to have bad days. So it's just going to be a case of seeing how he goes over these next number of weeks, really, to get him started. There's elements of his game, and obviously I'm not going to talk to you guys about that. There's elements of games that we're trying to get him to work on. But we're pretty happy with the player that's turned up. His attitude, work rate, commitment. He's sitting outside the room here doing some video clips from yesterday, and today's his day off. You know what I mean? So he's working hard, and he's a promising young player.
Thanks, Richie. Can I ask Dwayne just about Jared Payne? An Irish coach who's doing really well last couple of years. How influential has he been with you guys? How is he kind of developing as a coach during his time with Scarlets?
Yeah, I think obviously very good coach. I knew Jared well from my time working with Ulster together, and I was delighted to bring him here. He's been excellent. Obviously, very knowledgeable, and he's driving good standards here. And I think that we're a better team. I think this pre-season especially, he's been very good. So I'm looking forward to see improvements, in the team this year. I think he's been excellent, really.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Thanks, Rory. Matt Lloyd, do you want to come in there?
Yeah, thanks. More for Dwayne, if I may. Dwayne, last season, your attack, you had so many sort of talented players, but didn't quite fire. And you look at, only the Dragons scored fewer points than you in the league. What's the secret to unlocking? Scarlets have always been known for that running brand of rugby. What's the secret, do you think, or how are you going to sort of unlock that this season?
I think obviously with in reference to last season, I think that we probably didn't start as well as we could have, and then we built through the season. I think that there's a number of factors which we have looked at this year. We have to back our quality we have in the group. We know we have some players who can break the line. And we've done some real work, in terms of actually securing possession. I think that there was elements last year that we probably weren't as good in that area. And we need to make sure that we can get a set piece right, that we get our contact area right to allow our team to flow. And we've worked hard on that this season. towards the back end of last season and obviously into pre-season. So just for myself, I think that we've got to set the team up right, that we can, we've got some good quality within our team, players of good attacking ability. So we just need to give them the confidence to go and execute, really.
Yeah, I mean, one of those players would be Johan Lloyd, who I know you've raved about in the past. He's a sort of player who kind of produces something out of nothing, excites the crowd. Were you surprised that he didn't get more of a chance in the summer with Wales?
Look, I think that from my perspective, I think Johan's, he'd had a really good season for us last season. I think he played in all but 2 games for us. And as you said, I think there was moments where he did some really good quality stuff really for us. So I think that, look, I think from a Wales perspective, I know that he was disappointed not to make the tour. But then I hope there's for him and ourselves that he uses that as fuel really to start the season well and put himself in the frame for the November internationals. I think that he's a player definitely of international quality, and I think that good start to the season, and I'm sure he'll put his name in the hat again.
Yeah, if I may just sneak in a last question, you'll have seen your old mate, that the news from the Ospreys just down the road about your old mate Mark Jones is being teed up there to succeed Toby Booth. You'll know Mark really well. What do you make of that? Do you think he'll make a success of that?
Yeah, definitely. I think that anyone knows Mark. He's an infectious personality. He's he loves the game, and I think that he'll, from an environmental perspective, he'll be great for them. I'm sure. I think that from a quality of coach as well, he's been around. He's done a lot of hard yards. He's travelled around. Obviously, been down the Southern Hemisphere. And back, and it's great to see him back in the Welsh game. So I'm delighted for him. He's a great man, and I'm sure he'll do a good job.
Thank you, mate.
Brilliant, guys. All right. Apologies, that's my dogs. We'll bring it back around again. If anyone wants to jump in again, but I'm going to jump in for a question myself again for Massimo, if you don't mind, while we're waiting for hands to come up. Massimo, we had Sean Everett on earlier on, and he said Edinburgh got great confidence from Glasgow winning the URC, that to see a fellow Scottish side do so well. With Benetton reaching the playoffs this last year, does that give you confidence that, as the other Italian side in the league, that you can make that jump up, and that progression is there and the possibilities are there for you?
Edimburgo diceva che hanno preso un sacco di confidenza da Glasgow vincendo la Lega. Se anche noi prendiamo confidenza da Treviso il fatto playoff, se noi anche noi vogliamo risalire la classifica.
Beh, sì, sicuramente una buona stagione di Treviso ha dato confidenza un po' a tutti, anche il fatto che l'anno scorso al 6 Nazioni abbiamo fatto 2 vittorie ha portato tanto entusiasmo nel movimento italiano. Quest'anno confidiamo anche noi di avere questa fiducia, questa confidenza per fare anche noi buoni risultati.
So clearly we're very happy with Treviso reaching the playoffs, and it gave us a lot of confidence. Well, as much as Italy winning 2 games of 6 Nations, the drawing against France, there's a lot of build down that, and the whole rugby movement in Italy is hugely growing at the moment, and we're planning to continue our growth in that direction.
Brilliant. Thanks, Massimo. Thanks, George. Murray, do you want to jump back in there when you're ready?
Yeah, I might just follow up a quick one from Massimo. Obviously wins have been hard to come by. What would, have you set a marker for a season that you'll be content with in terms of racking up wins?
C'è un numero di vittorie
No, non c'è un numero di vittorie preciso, però quello che ci siamo detti un po' con i ragazzi, che vogliamo fare sempre buone prestazioni, un po' come era successo con l'Under 20, e di riuscire poi, facendo tante buone prestazioni, di riuscire prima o poi ad arrivare a vittorie.
So there's not an exact number, a precise number that we've set our eyes on at the moment. Our whole focus are on the performances. If we can start performing, the wins will come, and that's what our focus will be at the moment. Much like it happened with the under-20s, we focused on the performances, and then subsequently the results came.
Grazie. Richie, just to jump back, you mentioned the younger guys in the squad, and that is definitely going to be a big theme of the season. You've had hands-on with, it's mad working through the squad, how many guys you've actually coached before getting to Ulster. Have you always had the impression that guys who are coming out on 20s are probably readier earlier than they've been getting chances, or because it's difficult in provinces to get those chances often?
Yeah, there's definitely a balance between it. You know what I mean? Like I think if you can get a mix of some of the younger players coming in with some senior players, that's the ideal situation. We had a sort of situation last year before I was here where James McNamee got a few runs in the Ulster team and done particularly well. Then he didn't play for the rest of the season. We picked up an injury, didn't play for the rest of the season. He started pre-season, played yet last week and had another big impact in the game. So we're looking forward to seeing him again probably this weekend and see where that brings him over the next number of weeks. But it's a balance. If you throw them all in at the same time, you're in trouble. But it is something that we're looking at this year in relation to how do we build the experience of our squad. We had a lot of caps, senior caps, walk out of our changing room last year. So how do we fill that gap? Well, one is the reliance of the older lads to bring through some of these younger players who are coming out of the 20s in the last 3 seasons.
And Cormac Kizachuk was probably a really good example of that. Like, you gave him his chances and he absolutely took them. Has he got much from being away with Ireland? I know he didn't get the cap he probably was looking at, but
I think he's in a really good place. He's come back into training. He's training really hard. He looks very big and strong. There's definitely a confidence probably that around them that hasn't been probably there before. He's also sort of stepping into that role where he's using his voice and he's talking to the lads around him, which is really good. So yeah, we're very excited to see him start the season and see where he gets to, because he became obviously a very big, strong ball carrier, towards the back end of the season for us.
That's great. Thanks again.
Brilliant. Thanks, guys. Michael Salier, do you want to come in there?
Just get my mic on. Sorry, it's just one more for Richie. Richie, clearly we all know it's been, a very traumatic and difficult time for Ulster over the recent past. But just ahead of the season, do you have a message for the supporters? Just to give them a bit of a lift as we head into another full campaign.
I suppose the message is we're in a very different place than we have been in previous years. We have a young squad, especially in behind those senior frontline players. Our plan is sort of to play a good brand of rugby, using the best of that squad that we have. And hopefully what will happen is that the fans will see enough in relation to, the team going out every week, trying to put their best foot forward and trying to play the best rugby they can, so that the team can get behind. The fans can get behind. I think that's probably, we almost got there towards the back end of the season. There's definitely things in our game that we weren't happy with, but I think they will have seen sort of the route that we want to go down, and that will be, we're going to have good days and bad days, and from our point of view as coaches, it's going to be really important that we're pretty level in relation to our feedback when we go well, that we're looking for the things that's going to make us better, and then when we're not up to the mark, that we find the little nuggets within that game that have helped move us forward.
Okay. Thanks, Richie.
No worries.
Brilliant. Thanks, John. Do you want to come in there?
Hi, Richie. Good morning.
Hey, John.
I was just looking at the Benetton game, and I suspect you would have been pretty pleased with some of the performances of the young forwards that you had, in the manner in which you created tries, and also the fact that they were able to kind of, if you like, compete on the gain line.
Yeah, I think both teams ended up towards the back end of the game with a two young packs out. I think quite a lot of the guys had played against each other over the last number of years, when myself and Massimo would have been with the 20s. So although, yeah, we competed quite well with those young guys, it probably wasn't a true reflection of playing against a full senior Benetton team. But yeah, all I can talk about is our pre-season. Our pre-season, the lads have come in, they've worked extremely hard. We've got some decent gains in and around our fitness levels and our gym stuff. Our rugby stuff, we've gone after certain elements of our game, and they are improving, albeit in training. The Benetton game, it's funny, quite a lot of it we weren't happy with, but when will you ever be happy with a preseason game? So we've picked out stuff from last week. We go to Exeter this week. It's a different test. We're also away from home, so it gives us another chance to sort of put our best foot forward, with knowing that quite a few of our internationals will come back in at the start the following week.
Are you pretty happy that you'll have a pretty good shape after maybe 3 or 4 rounds of URC matches in terms of I suppose confirming a pecking order in selection, and also getting a chance then to look at players who've put their hands up in pre-season and have done well in friendly matches?
Yeah. Well, definitely we want to try and reward some of those guys from pre-season. There's obviously, with Ireland, with the Immersion Ireland team going away, there's going to be disruption in relation to that. So that's all going to have to balance out. I think it's going to take longer than that before we know exactly where we are, because we get guys for one game. A number of guys will go to Immersion Ireland for round 2, round 3, round 4. So really we're starting in round 5 again. You know what I mean? So it's it's a disruptive start to the season, but we're hoping that we've been clear enough in relation to what we expect from a rugby point of view, that players can come in and out, and without a huge drop off in performance.
Thank you. Best of luck for the season.
Cheers, John.
Thanks, guys. Matt, do you want to come back in there again with another one?
Yeah, please. First of all, Dwayne, the issues for Welsh regions are sort of very well documented, but I think everyone's had a season to sort of get their heads around the budget cuts and perhaps cut their cloth accordingly. Ospreys, with the surprise package last year getting into the playoffs, do you think, how are the Welsh regions set? Do you think, can anyone emulate what the Ospreys did last year, and can any of the Welsh regions get into the playoffs again?
Well, I can only speak for ourselves, really, in terms of our aspirations. We obviously want to compete hard, and I think that yes, we've had to cut the cloth, and I like you put it, and I think that we've seen a number of high-profile players leave our organisation, but I just think from where we are, similar to what Richie was speaking about, really, we have a young group, we have a young, hungry group, and I think that from ourselves, we feel like we've recruited well in the summer. I think the players we brought in have, definitely given us more depth. So, yeah, look, we're here to compete, and I think that most definitely, I think that we want to be challenging, and we feel like that if we get our group together and we get our best side available, and I think we definitely can compete.
And then also for me, and perhaps if I could ask this to, I think Massimo answered a question earlier about sort of what they were targeting, but if Richie could answer this as well. Last season, Edinburgh won 11 of 18 games and didn't make the playoffs. I don't think that's happened before. Exceptionally close competition last season, went down literally to the wire. What do you think it's going to take? Have you put a points tally or a win tally? What will it take to get into the playoffs this season?
I don't know, to tell you the truth, and I think at this stage it's nearly impossible to say. When it came to last season and the back end, the points tally that to get in, I thought would have been a hell of a lot less than it was. Obviously, back end of the season, the competition, the amount of good teams that are in the league. Everybody is capable on their day of beating another team. So with that in mind, it becomes very difficult. I've never been one for huge goals going into the season, saying, if we win 10 games, we'll have done well. I'd rather sort of deal with it on a weekly basis, where we know that there's a certain amount of rotation that has to happen in our squad in order to keep our squad healthy towards the back end of the thing. But each week that we're just trying to maximize the group that goes out there. You know what I mean? So yeah, we'll be going into every game, trying to win every game. So So if that's the case, and I turned around to you and said, well, there's 18 games, I said, we're going to win 10. Well, that means my squad thinks they don't have to win 8. You know what I mean? So we won't be doing that. We will be more concentrating week on week and trying to get the best performance and suit our game to the opposition that we're playing.
Dwayne, similar answer?
Yeah, very similar, I think, from our perspective. I think, the weekly, as Richie alluded to, I think the level of competition now within the league is very high. And commitment for us is that we're here to compete, and I think that on a weekly basis that we want to do. If that means that, we get wins on the back of it, then that's good. But I think that in terms of making the commitment that we're going to compete hard, and obviously strive to get the results we require. But I think from our perspective, it's about the performances on a weekly basis, getting better every week, competing hard every week, and then we'll see where we end up at the end.
Okay, thank you very much, both.
Brilliant, thanks. Has anyone got anything else you want to jump in with? 1 or 2 more, or should we leave it there? Has everyone got what they needed? I'll take the silence as a yes. Fantastic. Thanks very much, guys. I appreciate it. A massive thanks to Richie Murphy from Ulster, Dwayne Peel, Scarlets, and Massimo from Zebra for taking the time out this morning ahead of a busy season to come. Thanks a million, guys, and best of luck with the season.
Guys, thank you.
Cheers all.
Thanks very much.
Good luck, lads. See you. Bye.